Okay, so as an introduction to SketchUp, let's take a look at some basics about the screen, where some things are, and a few options with the menus to explore. So we start here with the default view. What you see here depends entirely on which template that you are using. I am using the Woodworking Inches template, but the rest of it is going to be pretty similar across all the templates. So by default, you are given this menu option up here along the top, and you also have this tray here. The tray contains a lot of information that can be very helpful, or ways to manipulate objects on the screen. So it's important to leave that up. The one that I find particularly valuable if you're still just learning SketchUp is this Instructor Pan. The Instructor Pane will change depending on the tool that you select, and not only do you see an animation of what the tool can do, but information on how to use it, and even modifier keys that will change the behavior when you're using the keyboard in combination with the mouse. So if I go to, say, a drawing tool, as we see here, I've changed to the rectangle tool, and there's some additional things that I can find out about how to use the tool from the Instructor Pane. So up along the top, we have our basic tools. For just getting started, this will handle most of the things that you need to do. So we're going to focus primarily on these tools. However, as you go, you may find other tools that you want to keep available. And if I come over here to this empty space to the right of that panel of menu options, I can right click and I can choose some additional menus to access and add to my screen. So we'll start with this, and along here we see our three axes, our X, Y, and Z axes. It's important to note the colors that you see here. Those colors will stay the same no matter how you rotate your view, so it can be useful in orienting your view. At the bottom right, you see a measurements option. As you begin to create in SketchUp, you can manipulate the measurements down there, as well as seeing what the existing measurements are. So for example, if I were to start drawing, you will notice that the measurements are changing to match the shape, to match the position of the cursor at this point. Okay, so a couple of key menu options to be aware of. One is this select tool. If you're in the middle of drawing and you need to stop what you're doing and you don't want to risk drawing anything else on the screen, you can always go back to that tool and select it. It'll turn off whatever other tool you have. So if I have the rectangle tool on, I can click here to turn it back off. I also like to point out these tools here, which give you the ability to manipulate your view. Zoom extents, the hand or pan tool, as well as the orbit tool. Notice as I hover over each that it tells you what is going on. It's important to realize that this orbit tool by default can also be accessed by holding down the mouse wheel, and the orbit tool allows you to rotate your view. The hand allows you to move your view. The zoom is an easy one. I can control my zoom by dragging across the screen. I can also do this by just turning the mouse wheel. Note that it will zoom wherever your cursor is at. And the last one I feel is important to be aware of is this zoom extents. Zoom extents is useful because it's going to take whatever you have drawn and fill the view with it. So in the course of creating, if you happen to lose track of your model, possibly by playing around with the zoom a bit, this will very quickly pull it up and fill your view with your model. Along the top, we see the more traditional menus for File and Edit. View allows you to turn on and off the axes, for example, as well as some other features. Camera tools. I don't use the camera tools too much because I choose to go through the menu options, but they are some more advanced options here. Drawing tools. The tools menu, which a lot of the draw, camera, and tools menu can be accessed through some of the stuff here. The Windows tool. This one is important to be aware of. If I lose an aspect of my view, I can go to Window and I can add that back in. For instance, I can choose to show or hide the default tray. I can choose to manage my trays. Similar thing to the views. If I need to add a toolbar, I can access the toolbar menus as well. Okay, so these are some basics about SketchUp. In our next video, we're going to take a look at some basic drawing.